Hiya.
What's going on, everybody? It's the Anime Observer. Yes, I'm wearing the same shirt as the last video because I'm recording 2 videos in a row. And this time, I'm going to be talking about Ghost in the Shell, Standalone Complex, Solid State Society. If you're a fan of the Ghost in the Shell series, I'm sure you probably already know this, but Ghost in the Shell has a lot of cinematic features, and most of them are just giant segments of the show put into about a 2-hour period. So they'll take 4 or 5 episodes, whatever, one arc of the show basically, and they will cut out all the little bits that don't really matter and then make a movie out of it. And there are a ton of these. I can think of at least 3 just immediately, but that's beside the point. So we're going to be talking about Solid State Society today. And I'm a pretty big fan of Ghost in the Shell. I've never really watched the show as a whole. I've seen some episodes here and there, but I do enjoy the little cinematic things like this one. And I have to say, the more I watch of them, the better they get. So maybe it's because it's not the first one that I've seen that I enjoyed it so much. I already kind of knew what was going on. I already have some idea of what is going on in the Standalone Complex series. And this is also not the first one chronologically, even though they don't really fit together. So if you're new to Ghost in the Shell, personally I would advise go and watch the original movie, because that is by far the best, and pretty much anybody's going to tell you that. But basically anything Ghost in the Shell will have my stamp of approval on it. So really, if you want to watch any of it, then I'd say definitely do it. Like just about all Ghost in the Shell media, this is pretty cerebral. It's a very story driven. It's something you're gonna have to actually pay some attention to. So if you don't like watching things where you're gonna have to think, things that pose philosophical and moral questions and stuff like that, societal questions, this isn't for you. Nothing Ghost in the Shell will be for you if you don't enjoy that kind of cerebral storytelling. But it also, it has some action. This is pretty light on the action compared to other Ghost in the Shell instances. So if that's your thing, if kind of the sci-fi shoot 'em up deal, this has a little bit of that, but not a whole lot. Not enough that I would recommend it for that kind of audience. And as usual, I'm not going to get really deep into the story because I don't like to give anything away unless I'm telling you that I'm giving it away. And I don't like to spoil this kind of thing. So there's not a lot I can really say without spoiling it, because the story, since it drives the overall viewing experience, things change kind of quickly. You're constantly receiving new information on what's going on as the characters are receiving it. They're trying to solve a criminal case from a cyber hacker, and it goes really into detail, really into depth. And as things progress, it just gets more and more complex. Something you're really going to have to think about, something well, at least I enjoyed thinking about, going through it, learning everything that's going on. That's just the kind of thing I like. If you like something that is going to not necessarily challenge you mentally, but something that is going to be thought-provoking more so than a comedy or something like that, this is for you. It's very good. Not a whole hell of a lot more I can really say about it without spoiling it. The art is very good in my opinion. It's not super out of the ordinary. It's a little more realistic than the majority of anime that's coming out these days. It's got a very real life, futuristic kind of vibe to it. So while obviously it still looks like anime, it doesn't have quite the same feeling. There aren't as many just unbelievable things happening as far as the visuals. Like, you're not going to see characters with their eyes popping out of their heads or anything like that in Ghost in the Shell. They're very true to life in that regard. They like to focus on making it a very believable futuristic setting. That being said, if you're interested in sci-fi and futuristic kind of stuff, this is also something you might want to check out. And also if you're interested in kind of technology, because it, beyond asking the philosophical questions and things that it does, it also delves into how society is affected by technology and vice versa, and those sort of just things to think about, really. And you know, what would the world be like in this kind of setting, and could the world ever reach this kind of setting? It's just, overall, it's very cerebral, it's very well thought out, it's designed very well, the visuals definitely coincide with the story that's being told, with the overall themes and everything. I really couldn't think of a way that Ghost in the Shell should look visually other than the way that it does. And I mean that also considering that, you know, the first movie, second movie, the animated series, and the newest, Ghost in the Shell Arise, all of them have a somewhat different aesthetic, but all of them fall very neatly into the way that I feel Ghost in the Shell should look. There's never a point where I've thought that the visuals just don't work with what's going on there. It all flows together really well. So I would have to say my final score on this would be an 8 out of 10, and I can't give it any higher than that really, because it's kind of the same as most other Ghost in the Shell standalone complex movie adaptations like this one. They're all roughly the same, just kind of with a different story, slightly different setting, that kind of stuff. Excuse me. So it's somewhat derivative of their other works, but I guess that can't be helped because it's kind of all in one series. So that's it for this video. If you want to leave me a comment on either the video, on the channel, if you want to say something about the anime, leave me a comment. If you like the video, like the video. If you didn't like the video, I guess you can dislike it too. If you want to see other videos like this one, subscribe. I try to upload pretty frequently. And I suppose that's all for this time. So this is the Anime Observer, signing out.